this meeting to order. It is Tuesday, April 17th at 6:33.
Mayor, opening statement and roll call. Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of the holding of this regular meeting of the Howell Township Council was provided for in the following manner: by the posting of a copy of said notice upon the bulletin board in the Township Municipal Building on January 5, 2018, by the faxing of a copy of said notice to the Tri-Town News, Asbury Park Press, and Star Ledger for information and publication on January 5, 2018, by the filing of a copy of said form of notice in the Township Clerk's Office on January 5, 2018. The public will be allowed to attend and will be allowed to participate pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Law. The public is reminded that civility and decorum will be maintained during the meeting. Any contracts awarded at this meeting or between now and the next meeting will be required to comply with the requirements of Public Law 1975, Chapter 127. In accordance with the Fire Prevention Code, be advised that this facility is designed with emergency exits for your safety. Upon exiting the meeting room, they are to your left and to your right. Furthermore, smoking is not permitted in the municipal building. Please take note that this meeting is being videotaped for possible future broadcast on Howell Television. Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell.
Here.
Mrs. Smith has an excused absence this evening. Mr. Walsh.
Here.
Mr. Nicastro.
Here.
Mayor Berger.
Present. Is there any reason to go into executive session?
Yes, Mayor, for pending litigation and contract negotiations.
Okay. So, I would like to,
Make a motion to
Make a
go into
motion.
executive session?
Second.
Whereas the governing body of the Township of Howell is authorized pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12 to exclude the public from that portion of the meeting for purposes of discussing specific matters as permitted by NJSA 10:4-12. Whereas the governing body of the Township of Howell intends to discuss certain matters which are deemed confidential pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12. Whereas at this time, the governing body of the Township of Howell cannot determine the time when the discussion to be held in executive session will be made public, but will disclose the minutes of executive session when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the Township of Howell that this meeting shall be adjourned to an executive session, and the public will be excluded in order that the governing body of the Township of Howell may discuss the items previously listed, and upon reconvening this public meeting, the presiding officer will announce, if possible, the time when and the circumstance under which a discussion conducted in executive session will be disclosed to the public. Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell.
Yes.
Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
Mr. Nicastro.
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
so I'd like to call this meeting to order on April 17, 2018 at 7:37. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I would like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes for March 28, 2018.
Make a motion to approve them?
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell.
Yes.
Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
Mr. Nicastro.
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes. And a motion for March 28, 2018 minutes.
Motion to approve March 28th, 2018.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell.
Yes.
Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
Mr. Nicastro.
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes. We have some proclamations. Do you want to read one? You read one?
Give body autism.
What?
Give body autism.
Pass this over to Councilman.
You want to do the first one?
Autism Awareness Month.
Yes, Mayor. Whereas autism is a pervasive developmental disorder affecting the social, learning, behavioral skills of those affected by it. And whereas autism is one thought to be a relatively rare disorder affecting only 1 in 10,000 people. And whereas as more and more health professionals became proficient in diagnosing autism, more children are being diagnosed on the autism spectrum, resulting in a rate as high as 1 in 68 children. And whereas autism is the fastest growing developmental disability, and whereas while there is no cure for autism, it is well documented that if an individual with autism receives treatment early in life, it is possible for that individual to make a significant improvement. And therefore, I, Robert Walsh, along with Teresa Berger, Mayor of Township of Howell, do hereby proclaim April 2018 as Autism Awareness Month in the Township of Howell and urge all employees and residents to participate in our municipality's Autism Awareness Month activities in order to become better educated on the subject of autism spectrum disorders.
Arbor Day.
Arbor Day. Whereas in 1949, the legislature set aside the last Friday of April as Arbor Day to promote the planting of trees and to encourage the protection of our forests from fire and pests that destroy the beauty and usefulness of our woodlands. And whereas half of New Jersey's total land area is forested or tree covered, and whereas trees play an important role in the ecosystem in which we live, and trees reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil caused by wind and water, clean the air we breathe and the water we drink, also produces oxygen, provide habitat for birds and wildlife, reduce heating and cooling costs by modifying the temperature, and whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper for fine literature, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and whereas trees provide increased property value, enhanced economic viability, and pleasing aesthetic qualities along streets and properties in municipalities, and whereas trees planting in yards and farms, in schoolyards and in parks, and along streets and highways creates an enduring heritage generations that follow. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Councilwoman Evelyn O'Donnell, and Teresa Mayor Berger, Mayor of the Township of Howell, do hereby encourage observance of Arbor Day, April 27th, 2018, in the community of Howell Township, and urge all citizens to support efforts to protect the trees, the woodlands, and woodlands to support our township's urban forestry program. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden hearts and promote the well-being of present and future generations. Signed, April 17th, 2018.
Municipal government, green team.
I don't have that. Paint the town pink.
I have green team here if you need it.
Oh,
What's this? Paint the...
I guess it's another one.
So I'll read the proclamation, Paint the Town Pink. Whereas each May, towns throughout New Jersey join Hackensack Meridian Health Paint the Town Pink campaign to raise awareness of the importance of annual mammograms and annual wellness appointments, which are the best defense against breast cancer and other women's health issues. And whereas the goal of Paint the Town Pink is to encourage women aged 40 and older in our community to have their annual mammogram wellness visit and to raise money to provide mammograms to underserved women in our community. Whereas the reason behind the event is simply because early detection and improved state of well-being is a woman's best defense against cancer. Now, therefore, Teresa Berger, Mayor of Howell Township, does hereby proclaim May 2018 as Paint the Town Pink Month in the Township of Howell. I just want to add that there will be several events around town, even in conjunction with Howell High School. It's a very nice event, so just be on the lookout for those events. I'm sure they'll be on our website.
And I would like to read the proclamation, Howell Township Green Team. Whereas the Howell Township Green Team was created to advise the governing body on ways to improve municipal operations with green initiatives which make practical, environmental, and financial sense. And whereas the Howell Township Council strive to save tax dollars, assure clean air, land, and water, improve the quality of life, and build a community that is sustainable economically, environmentally, and socially, a community which would thrive well into the future. And whereas a sustainable community seeks to optimize quality of life for its residents by ensuring that its environmental, economic, and social objectives are balanced and mutually supportive. And whereas the Howell Township Green Team has the continued support of the governing body to continue its mission to preserve and enhance Howell Township's environment for all citizens. Now therefore, I, Teresa Berger, Mayor of the Town of Howell, and the governing body, do hereby proclaim our continued support of the Howell Green Team, dated April 17. Do we have any reports?
Mayor, I have a quick announcement. Our municipal court was recently selected and approved by the presiding court judge for a pilot program to partner with CPC Behavioral Health, where they'll provide resources to our court for addressing mental health issues as well as substance abuse issues. I know that's been an important factor for everybody, key issue.
That's excellent.
So that'll be coming up in the near future, but has been approved by the presiding judge. And then next, I was going to turn it over to Jim Herman for an update on the sewer and water program in Freewood Acres.
Thank you.
Couple items, Mayor and Council. First, before I get to the sewer, the Aldrich Lake dredging is proceeding a little bit behind schedule because of all the rain we've had, but if anyone's been over there lately, they've been making some pretty good progress. The dock is installed, and the lake is about halfway dredged, so that's moving forward. As soon as we get some better weather, we'll continue to get it done. The Oak Glen roadway improvements are underway. We've been installing drainage over on Oak Glen and Maxim Southard. That'll go on for the next few weeks, and then we'll coordinate with the water company as they will be repaving all of Oak Glen Road between 547 and Maxim Southard from Oak Glen to Maxim. So those roads are long overdue, and that's why we've been waiting, just because of the water company's project to get that water main in.
Let me be clear, Mr. Herman, we spoke. Is there water lines going in there or sewer lines?
Water only, no sewer.
No sewers?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
If people are trying to say that sewer lines are going in there, and
No,
it's just
incorrect.
water lines,
That's correct. So that's underway, and then under the Freewood Acres, tonight we'll be introducing ordinances for the assessment bonds that are part of the project, essentially giving us the authorization to proceed. We have some final details we're working out with NJDEP right now. We expect those details to hopefully be resolved in the next week, and then we'll be sending them the final notice so we can try to bid the project. We have requirements where we have to send them a certain amount of days' notice. That will be done, and assuming we get their approval, we could potentially be out to bid, I would say by realistically June. So if that's the case, potentially looking towards the fall for construction. We were actually supposed to be looking for construction last summer or fall. We've worked out, I know that you guys are part of the discussions we've had with the water company to try to get them to install water, and we've moved forward with that, which is why it was delayed. So I think we're wrapping up on creating some final details on how to do the water system, and that will be one big project that will go out to bid, like I said, hopefully around June, and potentially have our biggest project we've ever undertaken here in Howell when we start. So that could be hopefully as soon as this fall.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion?
I have a couple things, Mayor.
I'm
I'll
sorry.
have to just update on the agenda, the additions.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Additions that have been placed on the agenda from the preliminary to the final agenda include Resolution R18-133, authorize refund of construction permit application, EIZ Contractors, Construction Permit 2016-0625, 46 East First Street, $262.50. Resolution R18-134, authorize appointment of real estate broker for the Township of Howell for the period of 1 year, April 17, 2018, April 16, 2019. Motion 9B1, renewal junkyard license, John Blewett, Inc., for 246 Herbertsville Road and 260 Herbertsville Road. Motion 9B2, renewal 2018 license massage business establishment, Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa at 4817 US Highway 9 North. And those are your changes to your agenda. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Walsh?
I noticed you had 9A17 about the real estate broker, Ms. Woman?
Yes?
9A17?
Did I
You said
say it
18.
incorrectly again? What?
It's okay.
Did I?
Yeah, you said 18 twice. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, just trying to help. Yeah, I have a few things here. I had met with Assemblyman Sean Keane and Assemblyman Thompson, and they've been in touch with the DOT about putting in, there's an issue with traffic coming out of the western part of Equestria onto Route 33. And residents of Equestria had reached out to Assemblyman Keane, and the DOT just got back to him today. There's going to be some meetings that are going to take place. They want to do something as far as coming out and having a turning lane there on 33, and they're going to need cooperation from us, and I said, I don't think there'll be any problem with that at all. So Assemblyman Keane has been talking with them over at Equestria, has corresponded with the DOT. The DOT has requested that we get involved, which I'm sure we'll have no problem getting involved to help the residents of Equestria. I did want to bring up about autism awareness. I mean, many of you know I have an autistic son who's in a group home down in South Jersey, and they really are making leaps and strides compared to when my son started in the schools here 20 years ago in the autistic program over in Newbury, and it's really expanded tremendously in Howell, and I'll forever be indebted to Howell for all that the community has done for my son and for many other young guys and girls like him. The community was a great place to raise a special needs child. I'll always be grateful, and I am going down on Thursday down to South Jersey. My son's in a group home down in Collingswood, and Collingswood's an old town that they've redone the main street. It's really come a long way in the last 10 years. My son's a block off of Main Street, and as a parent, I'm going down with my wife. Congressman Donald Norcross will be there in the group home my son just moved to, and they called and asked if some of the parents would be involved. And it'll be my privilege and honor to go down there and just say thank you. This state has come a long way, and I think we need to go further in helping our own. I really, truly do. Thursday starts some special events down in Bancroft. And that's the group my son's with that's been there for 100 years, down out of Collingswood and off of Kings Highway in Haddonfield. And he'll be participating on Saturday in the Autistic Ninja Warrior Games down at South Jersey. So I can't stay for that, as he won't participate if I'm there. But I will be going down on Thursday for a ribbon cutting as a father with my wife, and just to say thank you. Just to say thank you, that's all. It hasn't always been easy, but the people in this state, especially the people in this town, have went above and beyond. And they made our lives a little bit easier and a lot better. And I just want to say thank you to the people of Howell. Just want to say thank you. Don't worry about me. Get away from me, Evelyn. Get away from me.
What a sweet man.
I'll take this time to open up for public discussion. Barbara Dixell, I'm sorry. Did you sign?
No, I just got here.
All right, I'll help you.
Away from me, Evelyn. there, board, pass it. Let me get back, Pat.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi. Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Barbara Dixell, 62A Piazza Vittoria, Freehold, New Jersey. At a recent budget meeting, there was the conversations regarding the following items. Number one, Howell has a present need to save money on various things. Number two, I was told there is a lack of tenants in this building with rent money to keep this building viable and stable. Number three, I hear you are facing a federal lawsuit and need lots of money for lawyers, to pay lawyers. Number four, I heard there is talk about moving the senior center and library. Number five, the senior center is critical to Howell. This is the only meal some seniors eat that day. And there are seniors at the senior center that see the only people they have contact with and see. Number six, don't make the seniors of Howell suffer and be the scapegoat because Howell is in need of funds. Number seven, sell this global building that you spent too much money on and to buy and go back to the Preventorium building. You bonded everything into the oblivion. Number eight, don't make the citizens of Howell make up and pay for poor financial decisions of another council. Leave the seniors of Howell alone. We seniors have reached our final senior years. Please allow us to live out our lives in peace and with dignity. Thank you.
Reverend Brigham?
Good evening, everyone. It's a privilege to address this honorable committee. I'm here tonight to first say thank you to the committee for allowing the Destiny's Bridge encampment to exist for a year here in the Township of Howell. It has helped tremendously in the lives of real people, men and women who otherwise would be in dire straits on the street or living in a car or some substandard conditions. So with the help of this township and the cooperation with Destiny's Bridge, we have been able to impact the lives of people in a positive way. Again, I want to thank the committee. We're moving forward as Destiny's Bridge. Again, we're trying to achieve something. This is the only town in the northeastern part of America to approve a camp. There's nobody from here to the West Coast, or from here to the Florida coast to approve a homeless camp, which is big. It's tremendous. There's a great need out there. I'm a 12th generation American myself. Thomas Brigham came in 1635 as a Puritan on a ship called the Susan and settled in Cambridge, Massachusetts. He left the comforts of England and of Europe and sacrificed and settled in the wilderness of America. Again, because of ethics, his religious ethics. And that's what America is built on. America is built on ethics. Ethics before anything. Good fundamental ethics first. And I think that's what we did here. In Howell, New Jersey, we put ethics before everything else. And the American ethics of equality, the American ethics of dignity for human life and for the American citizens. And again, in this room, right here, right now, we have people that were residents of this encampment for close to a year, and some over a year. And you ask any one of them in this room that is a resident of that encampment, and they'll tell you emphatically that they were glad that that camp was there. It did them good. They would have suffered otherwise. So again, this shows, I believe, in a real and tangible way, the concerns of our society for the poor and the needy and the underprivileged. Again, we need to continue, I believe, this same sort of idea that we help the poor and the downtrodden of our society. We don't overlook them for other agendas and financial reasons, but we look to lift up the poor of our society. As Gandhi said, society is judged on how they treat the least of their society. And I think that should be true of our society, that we're looking to the well-being of our citizens first and foremost, above any other financial agenda or any other type of agenda that might the government might have. So again, I want to thank you, and again, we want to move forward. We want to continue this. There's a need for this type of support. The government doesn't have an answer for everything. A lot of people fall through the cracks, the social network, and are not being helped by the government. So there is a need for private organizations such as Destiny's Bridge to step up to the plate and fill in those gaps and to help the poor of our society. So again, as the property comes up for bid today, again, we want to remember that, again, we want to help the poor of our society. And again, many people have been helped by that land there on Route 9 in a tremendous way. I am extremely grateful. I've lived outside myself in a tent for 11 years. And people wonder if I feel put out or if I feel that I've really sacrificed. But no, I feel it's my American duty. Stand up for our American ethics and to sacrifice, as my forefathers did, leaving in England, the comforts of England, back in 1635, and settling in the wilderness of America. They sacrificed because of their ethics and beliefs. And the same is true today. I believe I have a responsibility as a 12th generation American, or as an American, to stand up for those ethics and for the people that call themselves Americans that don't have a place to lay their head or otherwise would be in a very difficult place. It's my responsibility as an American to look out for those who are my fellow citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, can we have his name and address for the record, please?
Steve,
Oh, yes. Yeah,
please come back up and give your name and address.
Yeah, Minister Stephen Brigham, 5998 Route 9, Howell, New Jersey.
Thank you. So, should I? Steve, I just want to say that I believe that the council did utilize good ethics when they sat down in the beginning to work with you on Destiny's Bridge. I believe that Councilman Walsh was involved in that a couple of years ago, and it was done for the right reasons. The other portion of an ethical responsibility is also to the township. And this piece of property is worth a lot of money for the town, and that would help with the taxes of the residents in town. So we are struck by two separate ethical situations that we have to think about. 12 people versus 55,000. And so I, even though I have worked with you for many, many years, both in Destiny's Bridge as well as in healthcare with you, I would personally look forward to continue to work with you to try and find another location or another area where you can relocate to. I don't know how quickly I can do that, but I'm willing to work with you to do something like that. I think ethically it's the right thing to do, and I hope that the rest of my governing body would agree, if they wouldn't mind me working with you on this project, so.
Thank you so much, Mary. Appreciate that.
John Riley?
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
As you said, my name is John Riley. I live
Your
in this
address?
town. I live at 23 Mouse Creek Court.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I lived in this town for over 30 years. I raised two daughters here. Both of my daughters own homes in this town. So I have a vested interest in the town because we live here. I'm here to talk about the camp. We have a problem in America with people being homeless. This is the only place where anybody really did anything substantial to help these people. I like that. I like being part of that town. I don't want these people just being tossed out. They've been tossed out of Lakewood. Let's not toss them out of here. There's not that many people here. As far as the property goes itself, whoever goes to buy this property, there is a master plan in this town that says what it's used for. We shouldn't be granting variances for anybody because they want it. It's just not right.
Who we grant the variances to? I'm not sure, I'm not following
Well,
you.
if somebody wants to use the property according to the master plan, oh, well.
No, you're mistaken. So it's zoned for commercial real estate, and that's what it would be used for, so I don't,
No, that's fine. If that's what they're going to use it for, that's fine.
Yeah.
But
Okay, I just
we
wanna
shouldn't be granting any variances for anybody. That's what it's for. That's what it's
Right.
used. I can't say anything. I can't complain. I just don't like the idea that we're going to take 15 people and we're going to toss them to the wind. It's not right.
that's also another misstatement.
Well, good. Please tell me what we're going to do, because we have to do something for them. You know, it's not right. You, myself, and everybody here has a place to go put their head down tonight. They don't. Living outside is no picnic. I go there every week. And to be honest, I do feel a little sorry for them. I'm sorry for that, but I don't even like to say that. Whatever we can do to help these people, I think we're obliged as human beings to do that.
I agree.
I hope that my words meant something. Good night.
Thank you. I might kill this one. Linda Sclafia? Did I mispronounce?
Well, tough things, man. You're not alone. You're not the first one who's butchered some names.
Good evening, it's Linda Solfus, the C is silent, and I live at 311 Circle Drive. Good evening, Mayor and Township Committee, thank you for having me. I live at 311 Circle Drive, New Egypt, New Jersey. I am an advocate and a concerned citizen for the tent camp. I have been following them for 4 years now, bringing donations, getting to know them, getting to see what the issues are, and there are many. Of course, we all know that, or they would not be there. I would like to see, first, I would like to thank Howell for what I have seen and observed, and I was there during the Lakewood era, and I did not like what I saw there. It was awful. But what you have done for them and the understanding and the commitment is wonderful. I just want to say thank you as a citizen.
Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
And I'm a one-time New Jersey resident. And I would like to see, they need we need a lot of help here. We have a broken system. I don't have all the answers. You're up there. Wish that we all did. We need some mental health. We need all kinds of social services that maybe in some kind of a way with Destiny's Bridge, you could fit it in somewhere, make some kind of a community center that could, we can do some kind of things with this and let Mr. Brigham, carry on the way he is with Destiny's Bridge. And I'm supportive of that. And I'll do whatever I can as an outsider, but for Howell itself, I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John Townsend?
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. This is the first time I've appeared here at any council meetings.
Can you please your address?
203 Colts Neck Road.
Thank you, sir.
And I took the opportunity to look at some of the previous meetings online so I could see exactly what goes on, as I haven't had the opportunity to attend before. And I was very impressed with things I've seen, especially over the recent years. I took the opportunity to view the meeting from March of last year, where the resolution was brought up, formalizing the camp on which the land that sits is now being brought up for sale. I understand that Howell Township, like many areas, has a lot of responsibilities, a lot of financial needs. There have been new businesses moving into town. New housing developments have come over the years. I've been here for 20 years. Recently, I read that you're continuing to fulfill some of your COA obligations with the new buildings which were approved. And Howell has always, since I've been here, moved forward and progressed and gotten a lot of things done for the benefit of the people in this township. I'd also like to take a minute to applaud Councilman Walsh. I was very touched by what you said earlier about your son. I have a close coworker going through something similar, and I talk to him frequently about it because I don't have those difficulties with my children. I'm thankful for that, but I'm very concerned for people that do, and for people that deal with a lot of issues. And by what you said with how grateful you were to Howell and the state of New Jersey, and thankful that so much was given to you and help for you, and how the state and the town needs to step up more and help in that instance. And I agree that more could be done in many instances. I applaud the council for what was done last year. As Minister Steve said, he's a very tough act to follow. Something that happened here was groundbreaking, and it should be celebrated and recognized and remembered, and hopefully can move forward and progress into the next chapter. Now, as you mentioned, the land is valuable. I think it was listed as 1.335 in your agenda million, which is a good amount of money for the town. Town's gotten a lot more ratables over the last decade, especially with the new stores and things coming in and things that are benefiting the town. Things that have changed environmentally, things that have changed as far as parks and more things being set up like Soldier Field. A lot of good things have happened here. The Howell encampment was, a touchy situation, I'm sure, for the council to deal with. It wasn't a pleasant end in Lakewood. They were looking for somewhere to go. They found some receptive voices here, some that are here now, some that are not here any longer. But from what I saw from last year's meeting, it seemed like there was a genuine caring about helping people. And that's good, because in a lot of places you don't have that. More and more we're seeing it, but we could see a lot more of it. Now, as far as the land itself goes, it's in a prime location. It's on Route 9. But that land has sat unused and undeveloped for quite some time. So my request for the council to consider, and even though this has been known that this is coming, the possible sale of this land, I know there have been some discussions from the limited amount I do know from talking to Minister Steve, but I'd like to ask if the council could consider postponing the vote on the sale of the land for a period of 3 months in order to have more discussions with Minister Steve and Destiny's Bridge to see if it doesn't have to be rushed in the period of a month when you have the property listed to come up for public auction on May 21st, and to try and find another location or another viable option instead of saying, no, okay, we're here, we need to sell the land, we've got a month. 3 more months, maybe not a lot of time, maybe not a lot could be done, but certainly better than a month, and maybe some more options, especially for the people who are going to have to possibly leave that location if that land is purchased. Something that sat unused for so long, 3 months, if nothing happens, you move ahead with your, plan to sell the land. If something good happens in between and some new location or some new option or something that's not being presented right now is thought of, maybe things can move along further with the town's blessing and assistance. And when I was doing some research, when I first got involved in learning about Destiny's Bridge a few years ago, I was struck by how many different social media accounts, how many different news articles, how many different area tri-state TV stations would visit, and all the good, positive stories and the positive way it painted Howell in the area as opposed to a lot of other areas. I think that's excellent for the town. It shows a lot of caring, a lot of reasons that I've stayed in Howell, even though, prices in the state for various reasons continue to rise. And my wife and I have been thinking about, when I'm going to retire, where we're going to go. I'm very attached to New Jersey. I'm very attached to Howell. I like a lot of different areas, but this is my home. And I intend to remain here, whether or not we get somewhere else to visit during the winter. I'm still going to stay here. And I'd like to see the things that have happened in Howell progress. I'd like us to see us fulfill our obligations that we have as a town, but also as a caring community. So whereas I don't think the council or anyone in the town, for the most part, would like to basically shove the people out, move along, let's wipe our hands of it and sell the land and be done with it, I think maybe a step back for a short period of time, even though it's been coming, but maybe a little bit more of a short period of time, to think, what can we do to make sure we're making the best decision we can here, and not, okay, we need to sell the land, we need the money, let's just move forward. So that is a request I have for you. If you're able to entertain it, if you're not, I understand, and if you're not, please consider other options in this next month to help and sit down with the people from Destiny's Bridge, because these people have a home here. They're not residents of the official sense, they're not paying taxes, they're not using most of the services, but they are home here, and they care about this town, and they do a great job taking care of their camp, and the extra things that they get giving out to other people as well. So, thank you for the time to speak tonight, I appreciate it, and I intend to attend more meetings, which aren't exactly about what I'm talking about tonight, because I'd like to learn more about the town and be more involved in a town that I have been in for 20 years, but have been absent from sessions such as this. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor, before he leaves, if I may,
Please.
because I think it's important that we as a governing body explain what's going on, rather than residents just coming and having their own thoughts of what's happening. So first of all, welcome to your first meeting.
Thank you.
Hope to see you more. Let me just put on a full understanding. One of the things that I want you to understand is in the resolution, we clearly took into consideration that what will happen to these people, because as you said, it was done under compassion, and it was really unique that this taken place in the state of New Jersey. If you read the resolution, it clearly indicates that whoever the purchaser may be, if there is even a purchaser, of course it has to go through a process, that in consideration, there will have to be placement for these residents that are in this encampment. So I don't want you to leave here thinking that when the property is sold, that these people in need are going to just be displaced and put on the street. That is not going to happen. And the mayor just pulled up the resolution, so I'll just read.
You need my eyes?
Let me just see. I'm not going to read the whole thing.
Good eyes, Penny.
I just want to read where it says, one of the whereas the nonprofit will be required to cover all costs for the Howell Transitional Encampment and release the township of, this is the original?
That's the one Brian sent me.
That was the one from last year.
This is the original. This isn't
That
the one
created-
that, this isn't the one that's.
That's the one that you sent me.
Yeah, this
That's
is-
what I thought you were asking before earlier.
The
Where's the
other-
new one?
it's in
What
the-
one we voted on tonight? Is it right here?
It's in your bid packet.
It's in our
Sorry,
packet?
there was a
That's
mis-
okay. If I could address that while you're looking for that.
Sure.
I appreciate that. I did not get the chance to read the resolution until earlier today. I didn't even know I'd be attending tonight, actually yesterday, but I had to move a few things around. I appreciate the fact that that's in there, that there should be some methods taken to ensure that people aren't just put out on the street, but also, it could also, I would say, without knowing more, and maybe you can clarify, there could be different versions of how the people are helped or in what manner. You know, these are people who don't exactly fit into the normal narrative of what services are offered. They're trying to transition. They're not trying to just live in a shelter. They're not just trying to receive services. They're trying to get a step up and move back into society. And in some ways, some traditional services don't offer that, which is why they wound up in the camp they're in. But also, whatever group, organization who may purchase the land, unless there's more specifics on exactly what they do, there could be a kind of a latitude on what exactly they offer to help the people that are in the camp and how long that help would be offered for. So while it may be a temporary fix, it may not be much of a fix to help them get further along to whereas maybe a little bit more time or a discussion among the council could assist that.
Well, I don't think us voting on it tonight, okay, which gives us the right to sell the land, means that it will close in the next 30 days. And we do not have a purchaser right now. No matter what anybody, or if there is a purchaser, I know nothing about it personally.
No, that's understood. I was just commenting on that you have it, from what I read, that it's going to come up for a bid on the 21st of May. So that's why I was mentioning the month that it could possibly be sold in a month.
It could go under contract in a month, doesn't mean it will close in a month.
Oh, no, that's understandable, but, you know, and a lot of things, and as I'm sure you're aware, in real estate, a lot of people would like to have that land if they get their hands on it, so, you know, the closing could quickly lead to something else where the residents are feeling more rushed than maybe some additional time.
I don't disagree with you
I know
there.
you've taken a lot, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't see no reason why we couldn't put any kind of closing of the property back. Is there anything to prevent us from that?
If I can comment, Mayor and Council, and for the public's benefit, this resolution just authorizes us to begin the process. Once we're authorized, if they approve it tonight, we do have to put it out to bid, so it will be out on the street for a while. We have to receive sealed bids. They need to be evaluated, make sure they meet all the criteria before we can even enter a contract. And then from there, it would be, you know, a time period, I'm sure, for the title work, that kind of thing. So basically, this is just the first step. So I'm not sure where you read the May 21st date, but
That was on, in the agenda, it's listing May 21st, it's coming up for public sale here,
that's,
if it's approved,
that's the auction date.
the auction
Yes.
date, yeah. So, but going by what you're saying, if it came under contract on that date, listing everything that you just mentioned, what kind of period of time would you envision at the least could this be finalized, if someone was to go into contract on that date?
We'd have to vote on that.
But is that like a period of weeks, a period of months?
We would have to vote on that.
Okay,
It'd be up to the governing body
okay.
when we'd want to agree to close on the sale of the land.
Okay.
For us to enter into contract doesn't mean we couldn't say we don't want to close until the end of June, the end of July. But that's if there is a purchaser. I mean, there's been some other things in Howell we put out the bid 6 years ago that still haven't been purchased.
Oh, I understand, and I may be mistaken, there is a property adjoining this one that was recently purchased not too long ago?
I really do not know.
Okay.
Is that true? Anybody know? Anybody know?
I'm not aware.
I mean, maybe you know, what do you, help me.
No, I heard that from different people. I didn't know if it was true, that's why I was asking, because that would give me thought that maybe someone was looking for an additional piece of land to add on to that, so, which could, of course, expedite the process.
It could be true. I
I
really,
don't know if you have any information on that.
yeah, I truthfully really do not know.
Okay.
Could it have been? I don't, it'd be public records.
Yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to look through that. I didn't know if you would have known, since this parcel was coming up, if you would have known the situation with the surrounding parcels.
Yeah, I personally have no knowledge that the piece of land next to it was even up for sale. Is there a for sale sign on that piece of land?
Not that I've seen.
Okay.
Yeah, I really wouldn't know at all. Could be, though.
All right, thank you
You
very
could
much.
know. You could be enlightening me.
Mayor, if I might?
Please.
There is, just for informational purposes, the mayor and I are having a meeting tomorrow with
Destiny's Bridge.
Destiny's Bridge concerning the encampment. So please know that this isn't the idea that it's a land deal or something, and that's it. I mean, a lot of thought has gone into this through the years, and we continue to think of things that'll be workable for everybody, that's involved. So just so that, we are meeting, and there are things, still happening, there are needs, and we certainly try to meet the needs.
No, I appreciate that very much. I am aware of that meeting. I've been getting more involved with Destiny's Bridge,
Okay.
and I was asked if I could make time by Minister Steve to attend as well, so if I
Okay.
can work it out. You may be seeing me tomorrow, hopefully with a smile on your face.
And I was involved at the initial meetings a while ago, and it was more than a year ago, and it was the right thing to do. And not everyone was happy
I'm sure.
with that decision, and it's okay, because I slept well. I slept very well with the decision that was made then, to let some people that were in need do something where they can at least call something their, it was their roots, it's where they were able to settle in a little bit for a time. But at that time, we also knew it wasn't going to be the final solution. So,
I appreciate that. Thank you. And that's really all I was looking for. Like I said, whether it's voted on tonight, moves ahead in a month, or you consider to give it more time, whichever time frame it is, to be able to sit down and discuss these things more and hopefully get the best resolution possible for these individuals.
I'll make the motion to approve it tonight, but I'll also make the motion that it doesn't close 30 days from now, if somebody does happen to come and buy the piece of property. Because there's also a minimum bid. Okay?
Okay.
So when that time comes, there'll be other things to discuss then. So nothing will happen like that in the next 30 days with my vote. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
And it's Section P, if you read the ordinance, Section P, I don't want to read, it's long, but it's Section P.
Thank you very much.
Rumu Disgupta? Did I?
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
Rumu Dasgupta. I'm on the board of Destiny's Bridge, and my address is 11 Chatham Ridge Road, Freehold, New Jersey. I really don't have anything more to add to everything that has been said. I think I echo everything that Minister Steve and the others have said and John has said. But I just want to, offer my gratitude, for this 1 year in which we have really had a wonderful time, really planning for the future. I think this was the first time in which we were able to put our heads together to plan, where exactly, we have a mission, Destiny's Bridge has a mission. And you gave us the first opportunity to really even realizing that. And the only thing I'm going to say is I'm very heartened by what the mayor said, that they are not going to throw us out, that they will look for another piece, and I never doubted that one moment, that once we always knew that this property would be sold at some point. So, but I'm very, I'm very reassured that there will be another place for us to continue. Of course, the solution to homelessness is not in any of our hands. It's a structural issue which is going to take a very long time. Many other things have to change. But I think what you are trying to do and what we are trying to be there for are just those tiny steps to make it easy for people today. Thank you.
Thank you. Elaine Taylor?
Good evening, Elaine Taylor, 1055 Maxim Southard Road. I'd like to talk about the possibility, once again, of tiny houses for the homeless, and finding a site to put these tiny houses and to work on writing a resolution in our ordinances to allow that to happen. I think that it's time. It's happening all over the country. Excuse me. It's happening all over the country where tiny houses are being accepted, and it's true affordable housing for the poor.
I think that, I was wondering if you could tell me how many acres of land are in that parcel that's going to be sold?
Brian? Jim?
I believe it's roughly 11 acres.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So if you sold 10 acres for $1.3 million and put an acre aside for them with the tiny house structures on it, you know, it's the right thing to do, you know? It's the best place for it on the highway. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. My second point is the farmer's market. I was wondering if you had any chance to look at the proposal in the past couple weeks.
Yes, we did. Brian, would you please give a synopsis?
There were a few comments that you had responded to. There's still some concerns as far as the financial end, because if it's being operated under the auspices of the government entity, there's certain purchasing requirements that have to be followed. So we're trying to figure out a way to navigate that currently.
I don't understand. I'm sorry.
Government purchasing is a difficult world. That's why there's people that specialize in it. Part of your proposal was you would be the one collecting this money and then distributing the money for advertising, things like that. So we need to figure out which way this is going to go. Either that's basically running a private business on township property, which definitely would not be allowed, or if you're running it as part of a township entity, there are certain requirements we need to follow to ensure the money is handled properly.
I could always be bonded. I was hoping that all this money would go into a farmer's market account so that that money could be used to promote the farmer's market. And, you know, you want to put it in the account, an account for the Farmers Advisory Committee. I don't know. I mean, that's your job. I don't know. That's all your jobs. I don't know how it all works. But you want me to be bonded. I'm not looking to make any money. I'm just looking to do this thing. And, you know, time is of the essence here. Because, you know, I haven't approached any farmers. I'm waiting to hear if you're behind me or not with this. And
I had a question about, you said it was going to be mostly farm, but in the proposal, there was non-farm related entities that were
that's
going
correct.
to be there.
That's correct.
What-
Crafters.
what-
Crafters. Crafting people. I made a list for you of different types of vendors that would be there. Candle makers, soap makers, bread makers. I mean, help me, Brian, come on. Jewelry, maybe, yeah. But everything high-end, custom, quality, no flea market, like Councilman Walsh mentioned, no secondhand stuff. Because you have to make it interesting. You go to farmers markets, you understand? You know, some people sell oils and honey, and, you know, different people have different stuff, you know? That's all part of a farmer's market. I don't know. So, show me the money. Where's it going? How does it work? I don't understand how it works. I mean,
That's what we're trying to figure out, is how we're going to collect this money and then distribute it for the various uses that you outlined.
why
such
can't
as
they just
advertising.
send you the money? Why can't they just send it to the accounting department? Send them a check. The weekly people, the $25 a week people, you know, I take the money, I give it to whoever I have to give it to. I mean, I go to, other markets, that's what they do. They take the money and they give it to the government. That's all. I don't know. It's so simple. To me, it's so simple.
So you're suggesting that the vendors would pay directly to the township?
Yeah, I mean, that's an option, sure. But if somebody's just going to come for a week, and they want to just do that week, I'll give you the money. I don't want the money. I just want to get this done. I don't know. I'm done. Tell me, all right. So that's another subject. Let me know when you're ready. I mean, it may be too late. Who knows? For the Farmers Advisory, there's a woman, Sarah Bertram, that has applied. She applied last year, and she never got on the board, on the committee, and I would just like you to check into it, and please have her, come along onto the Farmers Advisory. Need all the help we can get there.
Okay, did she put in an application since November, December?
For this year.
Right, that was my concern. I heard you say application last year. They don't carry forward year to year. We just give the council the current ones from November, December.
Can you hear me? Yeah. It was like I think, October, September, October. It may not have been in December, but I
Okay.
know last year she did. And it might have been overlooked, I'm not sure.
Sarah Bertram, right?
I think that's what
I'll look it
her
up.
last name.
I'll look at it.
All right, and I'll be in touch with you, Penny.
If not, Elaine, could you have her resubmit something?
Sure, of course.
Then that
of course.
ensures that we would have it.
All right. Any other questions for me?
Ms. Taylor, I actually have a question. Have you been in touch with Dan Knox from the State Agricultural Committee?
Yes, he's coming on next Thursday
You
to
did
our
set that
meeting.
up.
Yes,
Okay, good.
Yes,
Okay.
I touched base.
Excellent.
Yep.
Okay.
And I have one more question about land preservation and where you all stand on land preservation. Are you for that, for farms, preserving farms, everyone?
We have been.
We're
Yeah,
actively
I'm just making
pursuing
sure.
now. We
Just
just
making
closed
sure.
on one a month and a half ago, 2 months ago.
Not even.
Oh, that's good.
And we have another one in the pipeline, and we have another one I submitted an update to the SADC Monday or Friday or Monday.
Right, if you
potentially
could
trying to
keep
get
me
more.
apprised of what's going on, I'd appreciate it, being the committee chair,
Sure.
We had a list of like 5 of them. Didn't you just give us a 2-page list with a synopsis on different pieces of land that we're either actively pursuing or?
Correct. We have a target farm list that hasn't changed, other than we've basically been striking ones off that we have preserved. We've reached out, we've hired Monmouth Conservation to help us with the whole process for both farmland and open space purchases, either or. And they've actually actively reached out to at least a dozen farms and open space parcels in town, trying to gauge interest in the property owners if they want to sell development rights to us. We do have funding from the SADC. We have funding in the Open Space Trust. So we are looking at both options to try to find a property we can preserve. We have been actively reaching out and hoping that somebody responds and is willing. We've had a few that we thought were good parcels that the people are not interested in preserving, even though they're on our target farm list. I think they're waiting for the big paycheck from somebody else. So.
And if you know somebody who would like to look into having their farm preserved, please let us know.
No,
I mean-
I don't know anyone right at the moment, but I'm just saying that I just would like to be aware of what's going on, that's all. Because I don't want to feel like a dummy, not knowing anything. That's all. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we preserve thousands of acres in Howell.
I know you have. I understand that.
And if the people of Howell had it their way, and this governing body did, we preserve thousands more.
Good. That's what we like to
Okay.
hear.
It's still a high priority, Mrs. Taylor.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
It's one of the
Joan,
reasons I wanted to make sure everyone knew that there weren't sewer lines going in down on Oak Glen and 547 and its water lines. Because we know where sewers go.
Joan Osborne?
Good evening, Joan Osborne, 28 Bronia Street, Howell. My first issue is, I recently went to the Department of Environmental Protection to look over what was filed with regard to the Brick Township water allocation permit request, whereas they're seeking to install a bunch of new wells and withdraw a lot of water to water their parks. The council had also passed a resolution in opposition to that application, which was part of that file. So what I am here today about is a request that we might utilize our professional staff or our consulting engineers to go to the hearing that has been scheduled for May and present the basis of our opposition. Although the Environmental Commission did send a letter requesting the hearing on it, I think that, given what I reviewed, that it exceeds our capabilities of the people, the volunteers on that committee, to address all the issues. And I think it does require input from our professional staff, given that the township did pass a resolution in opposition.
I have no issue with that.
I have no issue with that.
I have no issue at all. Would we want to send one of our, Mr. Herman, we want to send one of our consulting engineers, attorneys, or in-house people? Will we need a specialist? I'm just asking.
Could be a combination of both. Potentially, I would go and bring a water specialist if that's what we're looking to do.
I'd be for this.
I can understand how that would be appropriate, and that if Mr. Herman finds that there's information that's ongoing or more is needed, then he can make an assessment of exactly what we would need. I think it may not be the best idea to take 5 professionals on the onset, but once we know exactly what it is that we need, then you take the appropriate people. So I would think Mr. Herman and the water person may be appropriate at this time.
Okay, does the township have a copy of the application?
Yes.
Okay. My second question is with regard to the agenda. There's at Resolution 18-132, authorizing shared service agreement with Freehold Township with Howell, the water and sewer utilities. Could someone speak to a little bit about what that agreement would involve and what that might mean for the residents? Is there going to be any change?
Brian?
There'll be no change to the residents. We've had some retirements of senior staff in our sewer department. We currently have an agreement in place with Freehold Township for a licensed sewer operator. This agreement would give us a licensed sewer operator and a licensed water operator, which we don't have currently, and we need for our well system that's currently operated near DPW and the police department. We've worked out an agreement that Freehold is going to help train our staff, many of which are newer. So that's the essence of this. But it'll take place of the agreement that's in place currently and expand on it.
So it's not going to change who our providers are? how
Nope,
we're
not
billed
at
or
all.
anything? Okay.
It's going to save money by doing a shared service, and other than that, not having to go out and hire somebody with these kind of licenses intact. So,
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Mayor, I would like to add something to the Humboldt Park, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good evening again, Mayor, Council, Barbara Dixell, 628 Piazza Vittoria, Freehold, New Jersey. Last year, when this subject came up, I printed and gave to Jeff Mayfield in Brooklyn, New York, when the Second World War ended, and our soldiers and military came home from the war. There was a major shortage of housing for everybody that fought in the war and came home. In Brooklyn, in the Canarsie section of Brooklyn, there was an area called Georgetown. And it was on Ralph Avenue between Flatlands and I think Glenwood Road. Large, huge area. The government built Quonset huts, small Quonset huts for these soldiers and their families, for them to be able to get back into shape and live in. I printed the article and gave it to Jeff Mayfield. I would hope that this may be a thought for the homeless community. I will find the article again and reprint it. But this is something that if you want to provide some type of benefit for these people and housing, the Quonset huts worked very well because my parents' home was on East 58th Street and Avenue N, which was less than a half a mile from this development, and it worked fine. So my hope would be that something be provided for this little community, and something as small as a Quonset hut will put a roof over their head and give them some safety and keep them free from the ravages of the weather and everything else they're subject to now. So if you want me to reprint that article for you and find it for you again, I will do that.
Please.
Thank you. But please consider that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Please.
Good evening, Council. My name is Teresa Konechny. I live at 2 Pelican Road in Howell, New Jersey. I know you answered a lot of questions already about the homeless camp, but I'm going to read what I wrote. I've been here since 1992. I don't believe there's any coincidences. I find it very odd that the public lands that the homeless live on have been vacant until they moved there 13 months ago, and out of nowhere, our new government administration decides to sell it. To lower property taxes? I've lived here 26 years, and my taxes have not gone down 1 year. They've gone up every year. Have any of you ever done a search, a Google search for homeless shelters in Monmouth County, New Jersey? I have, and what comes up is halfway houses and animal shelters. There is extremely limited help for people who don't meet specific criteria. My oldest son said if the homeless were cute and in cages, they probably have permanent homes by now. It's sad, but it's true. Minister Steve and Cindy run a really tight ship for a homeless camp. I am a witness to the success of this camp. I visit it very often. All the beautiful people who donate many necessary items know where they are. For them to move would mean starting over again from square one. I am personally extremely opposed to the sale of the public lands that the homeless camp is located on. I truly hope you consider the ramifications of your decision to all the people that live there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I was wondering if the professionals could go over a little bit of the history, why the property was, we owned it, and why at this point it would be considered for a sale. I wouldn't want anyone to think that because the encampment is present, that that's the catalyst for a sale of the property, because that's not the case. So could we get just a little bit of background by way of some information, so perhaps the understanding's a little more clear?
How come you're looking at me? So I have probably the most amount of history out of the panel that's up here right now. I think everybody that was involved previously, with the exception of Mr. Walsh, is not employed here anymore. However, I believe the encampment was there for a little while prior to the agreement being in place. The former manager, along with a few council members, met with the minister and addressed the situation, spoke about how they came about, where they came from, things of that nature. And they entered into an agreement with Destiny's Bridge, along with Minister Steve, who I know has been involved since the beginning. Part of the agreement was that this was going to be a transitional, temporary camp only. It was free for the township to sell with 30 days' notice to Minister Steve and Destiny's Bridge. The property, I believe, was donated to the township in the, let's say, around 2010. There was a time frame where we could not sell the property due to tax reasons. We can't sell a donation right away, or the person would have had to pay taxes. That time frame has now expired, which is why we've now determined that it's able to be sold. So it really had nothing to do with, now that the camp is there, now we want to sell it. That's not really the case. It was just timing overall. The transitional camp, as it's called, was set up from the beginning that way. everyone that was in the room or part of the conversations at that time knew that it was going to be a temporary solution. It's not a permanent solution. I don't think it was ever brought out that way. And I think that, the township council in passing a resolution tonight or deciding what to do tonight is doing their due diligence to also make sure that the encampment has some ability through the new potential owner to relocate them. So I think that, council, if you do decide to pass this tonight, you've definitely lived up to your end of the bargain. I know that there is a meeting tomorrow with the Destiny's Bridge people, Minister Steve and Mayor and Councilwoman O'Donnell. I believe a few of us will also be there, just to discuss things moving forward and an overall plan. So I think that's about as best as I understand the process, how it laid out since probably around 2010. Mr. Walsh, I don't know if you can expand on that at all, but that's about the limit of my involvement.
No real need to expand on it.
Thank
We've owned the
you.
land for a while. When we put the sewers in the southern part of Route 9, when the assessments were all put in, whoever owned that piece of land thought it would be in their best interest financially for their own reasons with their accountants to donate the land to the town instead of spending the money on how much the sewer assessments would be for that property. It was during the end of a very serious real estate recession/depression. So we worked out a deal and they gifted the property to the township. We could not sell it for a few years. That time was up already when we had the meetings a couple years ago. And there was already people living there. It was an educated decision made by the governing body with some other people in the room. We tried to find some options. Some other options have been explored by some people in this township. And there is a lot of compassion here in this town for a lot of things. So we tried to find a more permanent solution. Other land was looked at. Ms. Taylor, we did look at the option of building small houses, trying to get some federal money, some state money. It's a little bit of a process, and it's a very difficult one. Chris Hill was involved with the PAL. A lot of people have stepped up to the plate and have tried to do what they can. So I'm not telling you that I'm happy, that I'm just filled with joy about selling this piece of property. I'm not, because the human and compassionate side of me would rather keep on doing what we're doing. But we also give an obligation to the over 53,000 citizens that we will do the best for everybody. And time has come. I think we need to peak, near the peak of a real estate market. It's a very viable piece of land on Route 9. And I am for selling, I am for trying to do what we can to try to assist in doing my toughest thing is, are we going to try to assist in doing another temporary solution? Because it sure seems very difficult. And Steve, I think you know, to find a permanent solution, I don't know what it is. I really don't know what the permanent solution is. So,
Well, I think what possibly could happen is working with social service agencies that will assist you in, some people need identification, there's so many issues out there to begin to start a process, right, a life process. So working with social service agencies, I'd be more than happy to, have appointments at OHI so that my social workers can work with the people in the camp. If they need any paperwork or any identification, we could help you, start that process. We could start you in healthcare as well, if anybody that needs any healthcare services. Along with that, I'm sure that we will, take a look and really try to put you on the right track, so to speak. And when I say that, I mean on the track towards having a more permanent housing situation. So I think that we could start by doing that, maybe. So we could set up a time, and we have the meeting tomorrow. We could set up a time that I could have, somebody come down to the office in Lakewood. Okay? Okay. Is there anybody else? No. Consent agenda items. I'm sorry, if you would come up, please.
We can't.
Well, I can't hear you.
Sir, you got to come up to the mic. It's being recorded.
No, I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
It doesn't pick it up on the tape if you don't speak into the mic. That's the
fine.
problem.
My name is Rich Kruger. I live right across the street on Sammy Drive. I'm just curious what the current zoning is for that piece of property,
I believe it's commercial.
commercial, which includes what?
A lot of the
Mayor.
stores.
I'm sorry?
If you don't mind, it's zoned HD1, which is Highway Development 1.
HD1.
HD1.
So, is rental property permitted in that?
What's a rental property?
Rental housing?
No.
So limited to mercantile, right?
Well, you're limited
retail?
to quite a few different uses that are shown.
Give us a couple examples of HD1.
Aldi's is going up at the.
Financial institutions, healthcare, health club facilities, home improvement centers, hospitals, indoor recreation, offices, restaurants, retail sales services.
Okay. Very
That's
good.
basically it.
That's all I want to know. Thank you. And could that be altered through a resolution to the planning board? Anything different?
No, if anyone wants to build something other than a permitted use, if I could finish.
Right.
If anyone wants to build anything other than a permitted use, they would have to go to the zoning board for a use variance.
Right. So it's not entirely possible for that zoning to change on that?
The zoning won't change unless the planning board does it under a master plan and the governing body votes to change the zoning.
But
If
through an application to the planning board, it could change to rental?
an application would have to be made to the zoning board, not the
Right.
planning board, zoning board for a
Zoning board.
use variance.
Right. And it's not entirely impossible for that to happen?
Anything that's not approved, no matter where it is in the township, if it's not on our list of a permitted use, it could get an approval by a
I work for a
zoning.
municipality at least as large as this one.
Okay, so then you know the answer to this.
Well, that's why I want to see what you're telling me. I'm curious what kind of answer.
So am I right?
You're absolutely correct.
Okay, so it's a
another
use
way it
variance
could
to the zoning
change.
board.
There's a possibility for housing to go in there.
Well, I want to throw this at you too.
Yeah.
If we don't come up with an approved affordable housing plan, it can be court ordered.
I understand that.
Okay? So
I-
understand, it
believe me.
can be court ordered by a judge.
Yeah, through a builder's remedy.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm well aware of it.
Okay.
I know all the rules. I share an office with a planning official, a zoning officer.
Okay.
And another town in Middlesex County. My concern is that if this thing becomes a residential rental area, what the impact is on an already crowded area for roadway, traffic, all these other items.
We all have those concerns. We also know, we also got a round three obligation coming for 850 to 900 affordable homes that we have to find an answer for, not,
I'm behind you guys on the affordable housing, okay?
okay.
I'm aware of it. I just hope that everybody gets a fair shot to participate in it. That's what my concern is.
We've had 21 interveners, so you know.
Well, I know about the West Farms development, which I guess is now approved.
Yes.
Right. And that's about 87,
72.
72 affordable only homes.
And we got 144 credits
Right.
because they're all affordable.
And I'm back that. I think it's a great idea. A lot of people don't like the idea. But the point is that to get, let's round it off to an easy number, 100 if it were not 100% affordable, I'd be putting 500 units up over there to get 100,
That's a fair number.
right?
That's a fair number under a court order.
So I'm just doing it for the sake of numbers, right? Builder's remedy ordered by the local judge, okay? Right?
I've been sitting up here for a few years saying when the number comes,
I just want it to be fair for everybody, you know, who would participate in that, and not for it to be an exclusionary kind of environment, you know?
I would like to be fair too, sir.
Yep, okay, very good. I'm very happy with my answers from you guys, all right? Thank you, have a good evening.
You too.
I can't help it. I made my night.
Mayor, just to add on to that, I think that you, as a council, have been one of the most transparent councils in the state, if not further. We actually have done 2 major presentations at the school boards, where we went to Middle School South and Middle School North, or Memorial, one of those. Memorial. And actually presented all of the applications that we do have for COA housing. That map has also been added to our website and shows every proposal with the property owners and everything. So, I mean, we've laid it out there now for at least a year and a half, trying to give everybody an opportunity to see what those proposals are. So, you know, we're trying to do the best we can here to get it all out so you have the right information.
You know, if it happens that some kind of affordable housing does wind up in there, that's an option. Maybe there's a bracket that these people could fit into.
It's not being picked
That
up.
would be a lot nicer than having them live in the woods.
We can't, it's not going to get picked up on the video.
All right. Coming back. My understanding is, excuse me, my understanding is that COA doesn't even exist anymore, so I don't really want to use that term. It's been disbanded by our governor. That's an option. Maybe that should be considered, that maybe there's some, I have the tables in the car for what used to be the COA thresholds for housing. Maybe there's some kind of bracket that they could fit into. We're only talking about a handful of people that could be placed in affordable housing. Maybe in West Farms, maybe over here, if that's ultimately what would be petitioned to be placed in there. I don't know. You guys don't know, because nobody's bought it yet, and you haven't seen any plans as to what the proposed use would be, right?
There's a process for people to get in affordable housing, as you know.
No,
Joe, if you could, and I think I understand this, in this resolution where it says 3, abide by appropriate zoning, I think it was the desire of the governing body to keep it zoned as what it is. So there is some kind of, yes, that you could go to the zoning board, but I believe this resolution, the way the governing body foresees this product being sold, is to abide by the appropriate zoning, which is HD1. So affordable housing is another mechanism that the governing body, you know, picks sites, meets with interveners and all that stuff. This property was not one of the properties that was discussed.
Well, I mean, the upside of the HD1 is that there's no impact on schools.
Correct.
Okay, that's a great thing. But there's an impact on traffic and traffic flow, and I'm sure the whole traffic study that's going to go on.
Correct.
To look at it and address what's being proposed to go in there. So, I think you've done a good job.
Thank you.
And, you don't get that often, do you?
You know
Right?
what? You know, there's not a project that's been built in Howell, the 13 years I've been up here, that people didn't say it's going to have a negative impact on the traffic in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
no matter what's been built where. So if somebody ever tells me it's not going to have a negative impact in my neighborhood, I'm going to probably have them call 911.
Okay. I
Okay.
used to be a code official in Long Branch, and I was there for the whole eminent domain issue.
You had a lot going on there for 20 years.
Well, I was there for 13 years. I worked as an official for the city over there. And so I witnessed what went on over there. My father happens to be an attorney. He's 92. He doesn't practice law anymore. And when I took that job, I told him about my new job and the eminent domain issue that was going on there. And he said to me, and I quote him, "Pop, I hope the hell they read the newspaper, because the New London, Connecticut case was lost by them because they seized it and handed it over to developers, and it was not for the public good to put up a school, a library, a hospital." Long Branch lost the lawsuit, and they paid a lot of damages to people because they did not sell the homes.
There's no easy way
One
around
of
it.
the thoughts was that to place some of the people that were displaced who lost their homes in some of that Pier Village housing, or Maslow Mumford's townhome. And the fact of the matter was that without some kind of tax abatement, they could give them the units there, but they could not afford to pay the taxes on them. So it died right there with that. And they went on their way, and they had some court settlement money, and their lives have moved on to a better place, hopefully. All right. Thank you very much, guys, all right?
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to come up? There being no more, I close this portion of the meeting. Okay, so we go to the consent agenda.
Now, Ms. Money, we added 9A18, correct?
No, that'd be 9A17. Isn't it 9A17?
No, but isn't 18
There's a
Coletta,
16 and 17.
the real estate?
No, that's 17. So the motion is 9A1 through 9A17. Do you want the Bs in there too, as well?
Yes, the 9B motions can be included. If we're going to include 9A17, I just ask that you announce into the record who your appointment is.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve 9A1 through 17, with 17, the Realtor being Coletta Realty out of Point Pleasant, and 9B1 and 9B2.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. Wait a second.
Motion to, you want to go with the ordinance?
Mayor's got to
No,
go
it's
10-1.
I couldn't find it.
Oh, 10-1.
You want a paper copy, Mayor?
I got it, thank you.
Okay.
Ordinance number 0-18-4, introduced and passed on first reading on 3/6/18 and published according to law, is now being taken up for further consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of publication of this ordinance in the Asbury Park Press issue of 3/9/18 is submitted, and is noted that a copy of the ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and that copies are available to the general public upon request.
Title of ordinance, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 40A:4-45.14.
I'd like to open this up for public discussion. Seeing none, I'll close this portion. May I have a motion?
Motion that ordinance number O-18-4 be finally passed and adopted, and that notice of its passage and adoption be published in the 4/2018 issue of the Asbury Park Press by reference to its title only.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
11-1. Motion to introduce ordinance number O-18-5 on first reading by title. An ordinance saying to be published in the 4/2018 issue of the Asbury Park Press, together with notice of its introduction, passes on first reading by title. That will be further considered for final pass after public hearing and meeting of the Township Council be held on 5/1/18 at 7:30 p.m. prevailing time, municipal building.
Second.
Title of ordinance, an ordinance of the Township of Howell and the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, providing for the construction of sanitary sewer main and laterals and related expenses to serve properties located along various streets in the Freewood Acres section of the Township of Howell, and appropriating $9.258,188, therefore, and providing for the issuance of $8,795,279 in bonds or notes of the Township of Howell to finance the same, and directing the special assessment of a portion of the cost thereof.
Ms. Wallman, that public hearing and adoption will be May 15th, not 1st.
Just for the next ordinance, the documents that you're reading from should be the ones that were submitted today, not the ones submitted last week. Last week, we did have a different date of adoption.
Okay.
Today's adoption, it has been decided that it will be May 15.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. Okay. Roll call. Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. 11.2.
Motion to introduce ordinance O-18-6 on first reading by title and to order the same to be published in the 4/20/2018 issue of the Asbury Park Press, together with notice of its introduction and passage on first reading by title, and that it will be further considered for final passage after a public hearing at a meeting of the Township Council to be held on May 15, 2018, at 7:30 p.m. prevailing time in this municipal building.
Second.
Title of ordinance, an ordinance of the Township of Howell, the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, providing for the construction of sanitary sewer main and laterals and related expenses to serve properties located along a portion of U.S. Route 9 in the Township of Howell, and appropriating $3,454,207, therefore, and providing for the issuance of $3,281,497 in bonds or notes of the Township of Howell to finance the same, and directing the special assessment of the cost thereof. Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. Is there any unfinished business? Any information? I have Howell Health Fair. It's April 21st from 9 to 1 p.m. at the Southern School. That's at 115 Kent Road. There'll be free screenings, glucose, body, BMI, and physical therapy.
Arbor Day, is Memorial School open for the Arbor Day that they're having at 12 o'clock at Memorial School? Has anybody taken that?
No.
Is it okay if I do that?
Sure.
I would like to. The Bulldog is their mascot. I think I'll bring my Bulldog over there and treat them to a nice Arbor Day.
You might want to contact Glenn Cantor, because he's the one,
I have Glenn's number. I will contact, I just want to see if anybody had already slotted for that spot. Okay. Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Okay, our meeting dates is Tuesday, May 1st, 6:30 for executive session, 7:30 for regular session, and May 15th, executive session again at 6:30 and regular session at 7:30. May I have a motion?
Motion to close the meeting.
Roll call, Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
Good job, folks.